Hello students, in this video I'm going to discuss a very important pattern here, and you see the picture here, this triangle now, and the pattern which has to be drawn, it is like that. Alright, so here you can see that first row is having 5 ones, second row is having 4 ones, third row is having 3 ones, second row is uh, fourth row is having 2 ones, and fifth row is having single one. What I need to do first, that I have to convert this pattern into a matrix. Alright, so there is a matrix you can see around this pattern. Now I have written the row numbers here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the columns are here. These are 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Alright, I observe here that there is no connection between the row number and the column number, because in the first row it is printing the 5 ones, in second row it is printing the 4 ones, and so on. So just to establish the connection, we just write the row numbers in the reverse order, and I call this first row 5 or the fifth row. So that means fifth, fourth, third, second and first row. So definitely we use loops for the printing patterns. You have already seen in the previous videos of drawing patterns. So here the row loop will be in the reverse order. That will be from 5 to 1. That's a very important line. Alright. And whenever you draw the pattern, so basically you first move into the row and then you work for the column. So I have talked about how to make arrangements for the row. So let me tell you, first component of this program is going to be row 1 to numbers 5 to 1. 5 to 1. So you can see the loop here. I have taken a variable for row, that is r, and it is initialized with the value 5, and it is going up to 1. So it is going into the reverse direction from bigger number to the smaller. So we have to write greater than equal to 1. And then I have to reduce r by 1, because 5, then 4, then 2, then 3, then 2, then 1. So that's why this reverse loop is there. Alright, so this is the very first component of this pattern. Okay, pattern code, I must tell you. Alright. Now students, second thing is that we change the line. Right. So for changing the line, we have to write system.out.println without any argument, that is empty parenthesis. So empty parenthesis is always possible with the println function, but if you are writing system.out.print only, then you cannot use the empty parenthesis. So please take care of that. So we have to change the line, that's why I have written the println with empty parenthesis. Alright. Now I hope two components are clear to you. Now we observe what it needs to do in the columns. So students, now the row number is 5. So it is printing 5 ones. Then in this row you see the row number is 4, but here a space is visible, and after that 4 ones are being printed. Similarly, here 2 spaces are there and then ones have been printed. How many times? Thrice, which is the row number. Then you can see 3 spaces are there and 2 ones are there, and 2 is the row number. And now in this last row, which is row number 1 here, only single one has been printed, but before that 4 spaces are there. This is just overwriting, so don't get confused with that. These are spaces. Alright, so that you could get this shape. Alright, so for this pattern, the very first thing we have already done, that we have written the loop for the row. Alright, to control this. And the one what is there to happen, or what is there to be printed in columns of that particular row, for that we have to make arrangements. So what I observe here, first the spaces, then printing of ones. And spaces are also being increased. Again and again they are being printed and they are being increased. So just to keep things simple, I take a separate variable for spaces and I assume that spaces are 10. Alright, so I take a variable space right here, space, and you can have the initial value 10, 15, whatever you want to take. So what will be the effect of this? That whatever the pattern is, that will be shifted a bit from the left edge of your computer screen, right? And that looks better, and that makes things simple also. How? I will explain. So here, this is the loop for spaces. Alright, so I take a variable s. Purposely s I have kept the name because s is representing the loop variable for the space loop. Okay, so it is initialized with the value 1. It goes up to the value, whatever the value you have given of a space. So I have given suppose 10, so it will work from 1 to 10, and s plus plus definitely. And for printing space, I write system.out.print. No println is there, please notice that. And there is a space with single quotes. Alright, semicolon, and then we close the curly brace of the loop for the space. Now I have told you in the pattern that spaces are being increased. Alright, so for that purpose, I have to write a space plus plus. This is not visible here, but it is space plus plus and semicolon. That will be clear in the code which I will write just now. After that, students, I talk about printing in column what? Printing of 1. So the printing of 1 is being controlled by the row number. It is very much connected. When the row number is 5, it is printing 5 spaces. So it begins with always 1. So you can see 1 and then 5. Then I have to write a loop which works from 1, but not every time by 5. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then second time this is called 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Here 1, 2, and then 3, right, which is the row number. Then 1, 2, only 2 ones are there, so that is the row number. Then only 1, so 1 is the row number. So that means beginning will always be with the 1 of the column loop, and end will always be controlled by the number of the row, which is here 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here it is being represented through the loop variable r. So the column loop will go up to what? Up to r. This r you will be using in the column loop. How? Let me show it to you. Now students, you can see the loop of the column. Here we have got int c. C is representing your column. Alright. So I told you that it always begins with the value 1. So I have written 1. But it is terminated or it is controlled by the value of r, which is the row. Alright. Row loop variable. So we write here c less than equal to r. And then I increase the value of c by 1. So c plus plus is here. Now what has to be written in the loop body of this loop? You have to perform the main task, that is printing of 1. So system.out.print. Remember, again I am telling you, it is not println, it is print. What? 1. So I have written here 1 in double quotes, and curly braces are closed. For which loop? This loop. Alright. Now the process is, the outermost loop is the row. So that will be the row loop, that int r1, which will be there. And loop for spaces and printing of 1 are going to be nested within the for loop for rows. So that will be the outermost loop. The rest of the loops are going to be inside this loop for the row. Why nesting is required? Nested loops are always required when there is a main task and there are subtasks. So main task was here is moving to different rows and then printing into the column. Is that clear to everyone? Alright. So now we go for writing the code. So here I have written class named as pattern, and then public void shows the function. And after that int, I told you there is space. For the space I have taken a variable sp, and that is having initial value 10. I told you this, I leave to you. Give some sensible value. You can have 15, 14, 20 like that. After that, I begin with the outermost loop, that is for the row. So for int r equal to 5, r greater than equal to 1, r minus minus. I told you why, because the row numbers I have reversed now, just to establish connection with the printing in the columns. All right. After that, second component, that is changing the line. So system dot out dot println without any argument. So it's empty parenthesis with the println function. All right. Students, after that, loop for the spaces. So I have got a variable s for that. So int for, in the parenthesis, int s equal to 1, semicolon, then s less than equal to sp. Sp is here taken as 10, so it is basically 10. Then s plus plus. So this is going to print 10 spaces, and for the next time space has been increased, because you can see in the pattern itself that spaces are being increased. So I have written purposely here sp plus plus. So next time sp will be 11, so it will work from 1 to 11. And it is because of this increasing space, you know, what happens here? This effect is there. Once the space loop will not be there, then which pattern is going to be there? Then it is going to have this pattern. So that is the importance of the space loop. So if we wanted this pattern, not this one, so that is why I have written the space loop also, because in this spaces are after the one. So we don't have to be worried about spaces in this pattern. But in this case, spaces are before printing 1. So we need to be careful, and we have to write the loop for what? Spaces. Now students, after the clarification of the concept of spaces with this pattern, now I'm going to go for the printing ones. And for that I have written a loop which is having the C represents the column. So it is working from 1 to up to r. I have clarified that also. So whatever the value of r is going to be, it is going to work that many times. And C++, and then system dot out dot print what? 1. Double quotes I have written here. Then curly braces are closed. This curly brace for this inner loop, that is the loop for printing 1. And then this is very, very important closing, because it closes the loop of rows. All right. Now the main thing is over, and now we close the curly brace for the function, and then we close the curly brace for the class. I hope everybody has understood it clearly, right? So students, if you practice it again and again, you'll be having a much better idea, and it's quite easy. All right. Thanks everyone.